Let's talk specifically about your promise to solve the problem that Alejandro Mayorkas and Biden-Harris created, which is these missing children.
Trafficking or forced labor, then that's one life saved. So it's going to be a daunting task, but we're going to give it everything we got.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Trump's most enduring, life-saving legacy is going to be the children that he's going to save from a life of torture here in America, brought over by our southern border and voted for by your friends who supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Welcome to John Mike Keene. Is there a moral price to pay for people who voted for Biden and voted for Kamala Harris? Or is it just, they were ignorant even though children were getting mowed down because of them? Let's ask that moral question right now.
Tom Homan, incoming Border Czar, joins us right now. Let's talk specifically about your promise to solve the problem that Alejandro Mayorkas and Biden-Harris created, which is these missing children. Tell us what you can do and will do.
Well, that's going to be the most difficult part of it. Like President Trump gave me 3 priorities, right? Secure the border, run a deportation operation, and find these children, 340,000 missing children. It's going to be a tough job because what this administration has done.
This administration not only lost kids, we're gonna ask the question, was it on purpose? Did they purposefully lose kids? But remember, we warned you, we told everyone, this is what the Harris campaign would continue. They covered for Alejandro Mayorkas, losing children into these sweatshops, into all kinds of trafficking situations. We warned you, and there are people who could not stomach voting for Trump, even if it meant saving children. That is, they were voting for this to continue. And I'm talking about evangelicals for Kamala Harris. I'm talking about people that said they couldn't stomach voting for Trump, like Phil Vischer, the creator of VeggieTales. One of the most, who's voting for one of the most evil practices, cannot vote against that evil practice by supporting Trump. Guys like David French, right here from Franklin, Tennessee. David French, who claims to be a Christian, is a never-Trumper. Bill Kristol, who used to work for National Review, cannot stand voting for Trump, even if it means saving children. I only want to ask you guys, are they partially responsible?
Whistleblowers from Health and Human Services are saying that many of the sponsors weren't fingerprinted and weren't properly vetted. The way we find people, like you and I, we both have a digital footprint, right? We own homes, we drive cars, we have a driver's license, we pay bills, we pay utilities. So there's a footprint out there, digital footprint for you and I. Children don't have a footprint, which means we got to count on the footprint for the adults or the unvetted sponsors. And if they're not properly vetted, if they're not properly fingerprinted, then we're starting out in a bad place. That's why we're going to bring in a lot of the civil organizations around the country, private organizations that have been working this child trafficking issue for the last several years. We're also going to count on American people. We're going to establish a 1-800 number and ask the American people to help us out. Parents have an innate ability to see something that's not right, whether it's a child in the workplace or a child with an adult that just doesn't seem right. We're going to ask American people to step up and take notice, see something, say something, contact us. And if one phone call out of 1,000 saves a child from trafficking or forced labor, then that's one life saved. So it's going to be a daunting task, but we're going to give it everything we got.
Now, the task is hard and made harder because the Biden administration under Mayorkas did not fingerprint the people who took these kids. And anyone could have taken them. Was it deliberate? That's what I want to know. Was it deliberate? The Bible says if it is better to put a millstone around your neck and throw it into the ocean, meaning you'll drown, than to harm one of these little ones or to keep one of these little ones from coming unto me, from coming to God. These people are harming children. Biden's entire agenda harmed children. He is now commuting, taking people off of death row who harmed children. What are these people's problem? What is it that they have a problem with where they endorse, promote, cover for harming children? And the only thing that they've stopped is they stop people who try to save children, including deter them through the death penalty. What is the problem with the Democrat Party? Are your Democrat friends complicit? Because I think they are. I've got relatives that are Democrats, voted for Kamala Harris, could not vote for Trump. Lots of people I know could not vote for Trump, morally so. They're complicit.
You know, Tom, I appreciate you talking about that because in the first term where we worked together, what did the left constantly criticize us for? That these children and many of their parents are trying to escape injustices in their home countries and come here. And you're telling me that the children who came here may have been brought here by coyotes, by folks who, God forbid, harmed them in some way, and then we don't even know what's happened to them when they're here. It's very difficult to justify that somehow they escaped tough circumstances, and now we as a nation, the richest, most powerful nation in the world, can't find these kids. Is there something going on beyond the incompetence and the epidemic of just looking the other way from the Biden-Harris-Mayorkas administration? Or do you think there was something more systemic happening here that these kids are just missing?
Well, look, we know that over 500,000 children were trafficked in this country under Joe Biden's and Alejandro Mayorkas' overwatch. And we know that many of these children are going to be in trafficking and labor trafficking. This is just not Tom Homan's opinion. I mean, done this for 3.5 decades.
We know Homan knew exactly what to do if Trump won, how to save as many of these children as he can. He's saying many of them are going to be very difficult to find, but we have to make an effort or we won't be able to live with ourselves. We have to save these children. If you see people in strange situations, they're gonna put together a phone line where you can call in and they can investigate them.
ICE has already found many of these children in factories, cleaning up entrails in a meatpacking plant in the midnight shift. We found some living with predators. So, you know, I think this, and the biggest shock of them all is the secretary for HHS, Becerra. He's on stage bragging about how quick they take these children in custody and release them. They release them at record pace, he says, because one thing that this administration is concerned about, the only thing they were concerned about is the optics of this historic illegal immigration crisis. If there's no overcrowding, then there's nothing to see here. So that's why they released these children without proper vetting. They stopped the DNA testing. They stopped the proper vetting. Under the Trump administration, we had DNA testing. We vetted everybody in the household, not just a sponsor, but anybody that lived in the household to make sure there wasn't a gang member, a child predator living in that household.
So the only thing the Biden administration did was make sure there was no overcrowding. So they redistributed the kids so that they couldn't be found by being in an overcrowded situation. They did not care if they were working the midnight shift at a meatpacking plant. Just notice that, how much they care about Matt Gaetz supposedly dating a prostitute who was 17 years old. But they'll put a 13-year-old in a meatpacking plant and they'll send a 13-year-old home with any stranger who came to pick them up.
So this isn't incompetence, this isn't mismanagement, this is by design. This is about moving as many people in this country as possible because they see a future political benefit in all this. Do I think they meant to put children's harm way? I don't know that. I have my suspicions, but what they did is harming hundreds of thousands of children. And I tell you right now, some of these children we're never going to find. Some of these children are dead. Some of these children are living a life of hell every day, but we're going to do everything we can to rescue as many as we can and get them back to their families. We'll deal with the immigration consequences later. We got to get these kids back with their families, and we got to make sure they're protected.
Do you guys support that we're going to use this channel to save those children? Are you ready for this? John Mike Keene, we're going to start promoting the phone numbers put out by Homan, where if you see something, you can call in tips. This show goes out to 50,000 people a day. That's thousands of eyeballs all across America in all these neighborhoods. You find something suspicious, we're going to call it in. That's what this channel, we're going to devote ourselves to help save these children. If you support that, let me know below. Are you ready? Write in the comments below. We're ready. I'm John Mike Keene.